Welcome to the Med Control Monthly Podcast, brought to you by the Oakland County Medical Control Authority. The Oakland County EMS system is made up of 49 EMS agencies and hospitals that serve about 1.3 million residents with approximately 250,000 calls for service each year. It requires a constant stream of high-quality information to support such a robust and busy system. The mission of Med Control Monthly is to provide the latest updates, information, and trends to and on behalf of Oakland County MCA's EMS agencies and hospitals. This episode was recorded on April 20, 2022. I'm Jeff Lassers, and I'll be your host. I'm the EMS System Manager of the Oakland County Medical Control Authority, as well as a full-time firefighter-paramedic with the West Bloomfield Township Fire Department. In today's episode, Bonnie and John provide an overview of the highlights from the recent OCMCA committees and operational group meetings that took place in March and April 2022. Then they discuss what's on the schedule for each of the committee and group meetings for May 2022. As well as where you can find all of the relevant information, including how you can attend, in person or virtually. I wasn't a part of recording this episode, and Bonnie and John did an excellent job. Thanks, guys. Visit OCMCA.org for more information about our Medical Control Authority and its various committees. There you can download the minutes and documents from each committee meeting. This is a great resource to get caught up with the latest news and information regarding the Oakland County EMS system. Also, check out the OCMCA website calendar, which includes the details and information about various meetings and education opportunities, including how you can attend these meetings in person or virtually. Like I said, it requires a constant stream of high-quality information to support such a robust and busy system, and the Med Control Monthly Podcast is here to help. Please email us your feedback and tell us what you think about the show, or send us your ideas for future episodes to Jeff, that's GEOFF, at OCMCA.org. Also, check out our new OCMCA YouTube channel, Oakland County Medical Control Authority. Just look for it on YouTube. We'll be posting all sorts of new content and videos for our EMS system there, so please find us on YouTube and hit the like and subscribe button. It really does help. Thank you for listening to the Med Control Monthly Podcast, providing the latest updates, information, and trends to and on behalf of Oakland County MCA's EMS agencies and hospitals. Now, enjoy the show.
Hello, everyone. I'm Bonnie Kincaid. I'm the Executive Director of the Oakland County Medical Control.
Hi, everybody. I'm John Toyd. I'm the OCMCA QI Coordinator.
So as we've talked about before, we have a committee process at the OCMCA, and we've talked about it in detail before, but as everybody knows, we're just going to go through the committees today. And basically, we start down at protocols, we go to ED coordinators, and then up to EMS operations, medical control committee, physicians committee, and finally, it goes to the board of directors. So that consists of a lot of committees and work groups working together in order to develop and operationalize our protocols in our system.
So at protocols in March, we continue in conducting the 3-year review. Made it halfway through section 7. So section 8 is just about done. There's a couple of stragglers hanging around, and we made it halfway through section 7. There was a lengthy discussion about the medication protocols out of the medication section. Those protocols speak directly to the medications. These are redundant and they are difficult to maintain. There are many, many errors that have been discovered in it, and trying to review these has taken a great deal of time, and there's going to be continued discussion at this month's meeting, which is tomorrow, April 21st. And again, we're hoping to wrap up the 3-year review on May 12th and have everything up to the state after it goes through the system to get it at QATF so that we can have all these protocols in place maybe by fall. So as you all know, some protocols have changed. They are available on the OCMCA website. Under the protocol section, there's a link at the top that indicates that protocols for April 15th implementation, click here. So when you click there, you'll see a list of the protocols and the changes that were made. For nausea and vomiting, we added some protocol numbers. We added a couple of contraindications to make them match the medication protocol. We amended how to treat hypotensive patients, and we removed IM for pediatrics for ondansetron. 5-1 cardiac arrest, we added protocol numbers. We removed the reference to hypothermia cardiac arrest because those that have been paying attention for a while, hypothermia cardiac arrest was removed back in December, and there was a reference to it. We also directed termination and resuscitation to protocol 7.6. There was removal of several educational notes. One of the things that the protocols committee is doing right now is removing a lot of the educational items. And for 8.8 communications, we added protocol numbers. We added a reference to eBridge. We indicated that for non-transport, contact prior to leaving the scene if necessary. Before that, the way the protocol read is if you weren't transporting, you always had to contact the hospital. So we fixed that because that just didn't make sense. Removal of non-approved OCMCA hospital section, no longer an applicable part of the protocol, as other protocols have changed. EMS shall contact the closest appropriate hospitals for the specific situations listed. And we remove the fax numbers. So that thing with the contacting the closest appropriate hospital, what that means is you had the ability for a patient refusal to contact your base hospital or the closest appropriate hospital. Well, if you contacted your base hospital, which wasn't the closest appropriate hospital, and your base hospital decided you needed to transport, so you loaded up the patient and said, all right, I got to go to the closest appropriate hospital. Then you showed up at the closest appropriate hospital and they said, what are you doing here? If this guy didn't want to come, why did you transport? So it just didn't make sense. It was a place for confusion. So it was removed. For 9.9, MFR, BLS, opioid overdose, and naloxone administration, Bonnie covered those changes. It was added units in Oakland County. There was an understanding that it was for Oakland County specific units and that they added 4 milligram for Narcan nasal spray. Atropine 916 was fixed. We added some protocol numbers to it and amended the symptomatic bradycardia dosing. For ondansetron, in order to make it match the nausea and vomiting protocol, some things were amended so that the protocols matched. And for tranexamic acid, the most marked change is we are back to you can give tranexamic acid for marked blood loss or a systolic BP less than 90. So that's it for the protocol changes.
So our ED coordinators met in March as well, as did all the rest of the committees. And we continued our talks on eBridge icons, building more icons that are needed into eBridge. And some of the new icons we're discussing is the MCI buttons and what's going to actually be needed there. We have a couple agencies that are going to be actually testing these out this spring and summer. So we want to get them ready for those kinds of events. Priority 2 notification form has also been developed. We're going through the process right now of approving that and then any changes that may be needed to that. That's going to allow our providers, instead of calling the hospital, just to send a notification form on all priority 2 patients. And then the final icon that we're looking at changing is the stroke notification form, adding the FAST-ED score onto that. So it's right in front of the provider. If they have a stroke, they can go right through it very easily right on the app. ED coordinators will be meeting again May 19th. We'll continue talking about eBridge and finalizing those icons, and as well as get into the MyPost conversation a little bit more. MyPost is a state protocol that came out a few months ago that we have not accepted yet. It is about a patient being able to say what they want or what they don't want for treatment. It's very extensive in what they're allowed to say they want or don't want, unlike the DNR that's clear cut. So there's going to be a lot of discussion on MyPost going forward into the spring, summer, and fall.
EMS operations also met in March. Obviously, there was a discussion about ketamine. If you remember from the last Med Control Monthly podcast, it's where did the ketamine go? Well, the ketamine left. It's still in the drug box, but it left all of our protocols. So that was discussed at length and the reasons why, and a little bit of discussion on what exactly the study determined. There was some conversations about biospatial. Biospatial is a search engine for the state data repository. And we've requested that all agencies reroute their data that they have to send to the state data repository through biospatial so we get cleaner data. And this was a request from the state. So that was discussed so that the agencies understood, one, the importance, and two, how to do the transfer through biospatial. And next meeting is May 19th, and we'll be discussing the eBridge icons and probably several other different things. Although it seems like a long way away, it really isn't, but a lot of things can happen between now and then that could end up on the EMS operations agenda. Bonnie, what's going on with ED physicians?
ED physicians is an operational group, much like ED coordinators and EMS operations. This is the dedicated physicians from each of our hospitals that really looks at how we can operationalize protocols from more of a clinical perspective. So at the last meeting in March, we talked about ketamine. We are going to talk a lot more about ketamine at the next meeting, May 26th, and we will determine its outcome then. We really pretty much just covered it as that we took it out. We're on a pause at the March meeting, but we're really going to talk more extensively about it at the May 26th meeting. We also talked about the stroke transport. Basically what this is going to allow those agencies that are fast ED trained, so know that severity score, and be able to contact and communicate with the hospital of that score, and if needed, reroute a patient to a higher level or higher stroke level, meaning a comprehensive or thrombectomy capable hospital. That's in the future. It's not right now, but that's what we're really trying to get our EMS agencies to say, yeah, let's get into that fast ED study. We really want to be part of it, want to learn fast ED so we can help our stroke patients. In addition, the physicians talked about a new diabetic emergency protocol. Those who have been here a long time in the system knew that we had a diabetic emergency protocol way back. So we took it out at one point because it seemed to be redundant at the time. And now we're bringing back a full diabetic emergency protocol. That's part of the 3-year review, but the physicians really needed to discuss that in detail. Also talked about the interfacility patient transport protocol and Narcan dosing. So we're adding for MFRs and BLS agencies who use the Narcan kit. We're giving them another option and allowing the 4 milligram Narcan nasal spray. And then finally, they talked about the open fractures protocol. Macomb County MCA has developed a protocol for open fractures that would include the administration of an antibiotic. Our physicians had a lot of conversation about this, and they decided that's not something we need in Oakland County right now, but we would be not opposed to having it in the drug box if the rest of the region wanted it. As you know, our region is 9 MCAs. It's all of Southeast Michigan from St. Clair County all the way down to Monroe, all the way over to Washtenaw, Livingston. So we wanted to make sure that if our partners really wanted that antibiotic in the drug box, that we would say, sure, we're just not going to utilize the protocol in Oakland, at least not right away. The Medical Control Committee is the advisory body required by our state statute. They advise the board of directors. So at the last meeting in March, basically we covered everything that every other committee covered at that point that we've been talking about along the way. But in addition, Medical Control Committee also talks about what happens at the state. And the state has many committees and subcommittees. The number one advisory committee to the department is called Emsccc, Emergency Medical Services Coordination Committee. That committee is a state committee that advises the department on all things EMS. I currently sit as a member of that committee. I have been for 20 some years. And that's basically what they do. They advise the department on things that they should be doing or shouldn't be doing. Along with that, we always talk about an update for the State Data Committee. State Data Committee is just that, talks about everything data related, everything from NEMSIS to MyEMSIS to image trend to biospatial, and trying to validate and clean up our data. And we'll be talking about that in the future during our next few podcasts. In addition, we always give an update on what's going on with our Regional Protocol Committee. The Regional Protocol Committee's objective is really to have oversight over the drug box for our 9 MCAs. So I always give updates on that. And then finally, they also talk about the Roadshow. The Roadshow is the Bonnie and John show that we go out to the agencies that want us to come out during their trainings and talk about all things MCA related, state related. What does the law say? What do the rules say? What do our protocols say? Why? Why do they say what they say? And then a lot of times what we learn is things that we need to change in our protocols. We have received a lot of great feedback on our roadshow. So we're going to continue doing that this year, next year, and going on. We want to be able to hit every agency and hospital during this process. We'll be going for the roadshow to Southfield Fire, Oxford Fire, Orion Fire, and Huron Valley Sinai Hospital in May and early June. And June, we have a few more open spots, so please let us know if you would like us to attend one of your trainings. Next meeting for the Medical Control Committee will take place on May 26th. The Board of Directors, of course, is the authority of the Oakland County Medical Control Authority. They are the last say before anything goes to the state. The Board of Directors met first Friday in April and basically talked about the removal of ketamine as we've been going through that, taking the ketamine out of all of our protocols. We talked about the new bylaw changes for a regional trauma network, and we always present an annual report for the prior year at the April meeting. So that was presented, and that covers basically everything that happened the previous year. They also are the fiduciary for our OCMCA, so they have the financial review to approve, which they did. And we also had a discussion on the Open Meetings Act. So our Board of Directors is the only meeting that must meet in person now. So at the June meeting, we will be in person in order to vote. If anybody is on Zoom, they will not be allowed to vote, as the law states now that the pandemic is over. It says that we need to meet in person in order to vote. So that only applies to our Board of Directors. All right, you hit PSRO.
Yes, PSRO, the agency that we cannot speak of, but we can speak a little bit. PSRO was busy this month again with several incidents, and we had a continued discussion on the ketamine study, which the information about that discussion was sent to the physicians group, and it'll be covered at their meeting. The next meeting is scheduled for May 5th. And we are going to continue data and incident reviews. Education Task Force. At March's meeting, we reviewed 21 lesson plans for possible inclusion into the CE sponsorship. It was a very great discussion, and thank you for all those involved. We discussed the EQIP in-services and the required education for this year, patient prioritization. Patient prioritization is available in a couple different locations right now, and you can find it on the website. And if you have any other ideas or locations, or if you're creating a class and just want to do a video and throw it up for other people to use, we are willing to take it, review it, and make it available for everybody to view. And we would thank you for your help. On April 26th, we're going to be meeting. We're going to be reviewing a couple of lesson plans that are carryovers from the 21 that we reviewed last month. And we're going to discuss next year's EQIP and customizing it for each license level and agency license level and their transport category. Because what we've come to discover over the years and some of the concerns that have been voiced to us is maybe the MFR agencies that don't transport don't necessarily need to really review the transport protocol. Not that in depth anyways. And maybe there's other protocols that would be more valuable for them. And likewise, maybe a protocol that would be valuable for the MFRs and the non-transporting EMTs might not be as valuable for the transporting ALS that might need to concentrate on a different protocol. We're going to take that all into account and try and work on creating some positive movement so that everybody in the OCMCA sees the value in the EQIP program that we see.
Well said, John. EQIP is super important. We want everybody's input and how to make it better each year.
Thank you to Bonnie and John for providing us with highlights from the recent OCMCA committees and operational group meetings that took place in March and April 2022, as well as what's on the schedule for each of the committee and group meetings that are scheduled in May 2022. Our next episode is scheduled for mid-May, where we sit down with several local first responder leaders to discuss the value of preparing for mass casualty incidents. This episode is in preparation for the 4th Annual Trinity Health St. Joseph Mercy Oakland Hospital Trauma Symposium and the Annual OAKWAY MCI training event, which are scheduled for June 2 and 3, 2022. This 2-day event is going to be amazing, and it's 100% free to EMS providers. Check out the link in the episode description. In the meantime, please visit OCMCA.org for more information about the committee structure and the processes that we discussed today. You can even download the meeting minutes from each meeting right from the website. Also, check out the website calendar, which provides all of the meeting dates, times, and Zoom link information for each OCMCA committee and work group meeting. Most of our meetings are open, and we welcome EMS and hospital providers from our system. Please email us your feedback and tell us what you think about our show, or send us ideas for future episodes to Jeff, that's GEOFF, at OCMCA.org. Thank you for listening to the Med Control Monthly Podcast, providing the latest updates, information, and trends to and on behalf of the EMS agencies and hospitals of Oakland County, Michigan. Have a great day.